This is the 2025 Brewtubers Online Brewers Club Malt Experiment, Amber Ale. Thanks to our sponsors. 5 Star Chemicals. Check out their new online straight-to-consumer homebrew shop where you can buy everything from Star San and Line Cleaner to the new liquid PBW that can be used at temperatures as low as 58 degrees Fahrenheit. Check out their online store at 5starchemicals.com/home-brewing. Beer and Wine Hobby Homebrew Supply Store. A local homebrew shop in Danvers, Massachusetts. Order any malt they offer in any quantity you want, and if you order before 11 a.m., they'll package your items and ship out the very same day. Visit the store at www.beer-wine.com. Let's get tasting.
Hello YouTube, this is Kurt from Fermentation Adventures, kicking off the 2025 Brewtubers Malt Experiment. First video in quite a while for me, so let's get it kicked off. I'm going to try not to belabor things too much this year. I'm just going to get right into it and try to keep the reviews kind of short and sweet for me. So yeah, let's get into it. So this year, Brewtubers chose to, we chose a specialty malt experiment. The recipe that Nick at Exit 12 and I worked on the recipe for the club to brew. It was an amber ale. The idea would be we'd have an amber ale recipe that we would put together. It would come in and be low on the ABV end for an amber ale, low on the color side for an amber ale, low on the hops for an amber ale, and then all the club members can come in and put their own spin on it, add whatever specialty malt they wanted. If it's going to be a very dark malt, you should have a lot of leeway and not knock the beer out of style. So yeah, the recipe I'll throw up here, might throw it over my face, throw it here somewhere. I am trying a little bit of a different setup this year for recording, at least initially. But the recipe card is here, and really it's a pretty simple recipe that we went with. We chose Stone Path malt 2-row as our base malt, and then there was a pound or about 9% Caramel 60, Briess Caramel 60, a pound of Munich malt from Stone Path, and then another 2% of biscuit malt, or at least these are what my values came out to. And then from there, the brewers got to add their specialty malt of choosing to try to add some character, and we're gonna taste them all, and we'll decide which how we want to rank them. For me, I will be ranking them pretty much based on what I think the specialty malt is bringing to the beer. Would I use it in the future? Do I think it, added the most? So that's part of the idea. All right, so if we kick it off, I'm going to get started with my beer. Which I do have the can here. I do have a little spinny thing, turntable, that I'll probably put in here somewhere as well. But basically, my beer is called sort of a baseline. The idea that I went with is that, like I said, the beer is going to be very low on the color, flavor, everything for an amber ale. For this time, I wanted to brew a baseline beer, and a big part of me wished that I just brew the baseline. I didn't alter it, but kind of in the spirit of the experiment, I added some Sinamar, which I do have the bottle left here. It's repackaged from Williams Brewing. Sinamar is a beer coloring, supposedly from Weyermann. Really what it is it's kind of a liquid malt extract. If you look in the bottle here, you can kind of see it rolling around. They kind of sell it as a malt-derived coloring to add to beers to darken it. If I smell it, I smell it and I even taste a little bit. It does add a little bit of character. I did add this to my beer to darken it up, really, which was the only idea, is that I wanted to make it kind of a dark amber color-wise and put it at the kind of edge of the scale. So I added 2 ounces of the Sinamar to the beer that I brewed, and basically that would darken it up. The idea was, I think on the bottle here they say 1 fluid ounce adds 5 SRM to 5 gallons of wort. I added 2 ounces, which should have added 10 SRM if it was 5 gallons, but it was during the end of a boil, so it was really around 7 ounces. I think when you look at the color, it is kind of fairly close to right at the edge of the 17 SRM for the beer. But yeah, this brew went kind of swimmingly. The vitals on the beer itself is, my beer was 4.9% ABV, 32 IBU, with a original gravity of 1048, final gravity of 1011. So let's get started and try the beer. So let me pop it open. Can't see me opening the can, but let's do a pour on camera. If I pour it here, I'm going to try to be good this year and not dump out the entire can. But, and again, I probably should have picked a different glass, but I did pick a tulip glass. It is going to look fairly dark in this glass than it probably will compared to other glasses, but it does, if I look through the glass, it does look fairly dark. There is a decent amount of clarity here. If I look up through the bottom of the glass, I can really see the foam. There is some ruby highlights that come from that, because again, the Sinamar is really, I think it's kind of like a Carafa 3 derived, kind of a debittered Carafa 3 malt that the extract comes from. So it is going to kind of add a little bit of the ruby tints to the beer. But again, it looks pretty much, it's like I mentioned, right on the dark end of the amber ale, American amber ale scale. I didn't pour too aggressively. I do have a nice little low tan head here. Yeah, it's off-white tan head. A little bit of a skim. You can see there is a little bit of lacing on the glass. The legs are not really sticking around here, or the foam, I should say, is not really clinging to the edge of the glass at this point. So if I go in for a sniffy poo of this, a sniff, so yeah, I do get, like, I would say a dark sugar aroma from this. Kind of a little bit of a brown sugar, caramel. Do get a little bit of a light, probably like a light brown bread flavor. I'm not really getting much in the way of roast. And again, I don't really think I'm picking up any of the chocolate notes or anything. I know some folks have picked up, because I've watched a few of these videos already. But yeah, no roast character. Very little in the way of hops. Maybe a subtle hop spiciness is coming up from there. Not really getting much in the way of the yeast character. Maybe a subtle dark fruit type ester, not necessarily cherry. Maybe a sort of little hint of a raisin. Again, none of the malt flavors are really, my can is kind of warm here as well. None of the malt flavors are coming out and beat me over the head with any sort of flavor here. Yeah, very much kind of your typical amber ale, light amber ale aromas I'm getting from here. A subtle touch of the toast, dark sugars, kind of the caramel, medium, kind of a medium, low medium dark malt from it. Again, dark malt as far as kind of the mid amber malt range. All right, let's go in for a sip here. All right. So the first thing that really jumps out to me, yeah, definitely more on the aroma. I do get a little touch of that kind of that Munich sort of aroma in the retronasal I got right at the end, which I kind of like a lot. Kind of picking up things in the retronasal. Talking about the hops quick, firm bitterness is definitely there for the beer for me. A little bit of hop spiciness, a little bit of I'd say, a little bit of a, hop spice. It's probably interplay with the carbonation actually. Hop flavor, nothing's really beating me over the head with any of the hoppy flavors itself, which again was kind of the overall idea. If you refer back to the recipe, this entire beer has, what are we right about? It should be somewhere around an ounce and a half of hops, depending on how the brewers would have adjusted the bitterness for their system. But yeah, the bitterness is firm and right there. If I go back in again for another sip, yeah, more of the light, light caramel, some light a touch of graininess in there, some subtle biscuit, a little bit of a bready type of malt flavor. Again, there is more of the, I guess, the subtle, maybe melanoidin type, darker, more richer Munich flavors playing through. Because again, if I'm looking at the overall recipe and what I'm playing with here, probably the most characterful malt in the entire recipe for my version is the Munich malt. And I think that's really what's kind of playing up here. The Munich and the caramel 60 are what's in here. So again, it's kind of typical for, caramel 60, where you get a little bit of that dark sugar with a subtle, another, like a lighter raisin type flavor for a dark fruit. I'm kind of getting, again, if I jump here over and smell the actual the Sinamar in comparison, it's more on that, kind of the typical dark grain flavor. It's more definitely on the light roast side, maybe some light chocolate, some coffee flavors. I don't really get a lot of it coming through. Maybe there's a subtle touch of a coffee that's coming through, is what I would think of as a coffee, a little touch of a roast, and that's it. So yeah, I think that's really what I'd say about this beer. I'd say it's really it is a kind of very plain amber, and that's kind of what I was hoping to brew with this. Go with the baseline. Again, hopefully, as I taste the other iterations of this, it will be reminiscent of this beer, and then their specialty malts will really come out to the forefront, and we can really comment on those. Ranking, again, this is the only beer it's not worth ranking, but I would leave it there. And that's it. Again, thanks to our sponsors, 5 Star Chemicals, Beer and Wine Hobby, for sponsoring the club and making this experiment possible. And I'll leave you there until the next time. Cheers.